Hey everyone, I am so glad you're here. If you are watching this video, it means you are interested in EF Ultimate Break's India trip. I recently got home from this trip and I do have a vlog already posted, but I wanted to do a really thorough itinerary breakdown. And my goals for this video are just to go through day by day of what's included, what's not included, and kind of answer some questions that I had beforehand, just so you have as smooth a trip as possible. Before we get to it, and before we start breaking down this itinerary, I do want to remind you I am an ambassador for EF Ultimate Break, which means when you book your first trip using the link in the video description below, it will automatically apply the promo code UACaitlin100. Again, only for your first trip. Okay, let's break down this itinerary. Looking at the website, this trip is marketed as a 9-day trip. It's really not. In the what you'll get section, it shows you get 6 nights in hand-picked accommodations, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So day 1 is your overnight flight to India. It is going to take you a hot second and a half to get there. I left Birmingham at 2 p.m. on a Saturday, and I arrived in Delhi at 3 a.m. essentially on a Monday. Granted, I did pick that flight route, so I'm not throwing any shade at the EF flights team. Like I definitely picked that route and requested it. It is important to note that you do need a visa for this tour. You can start applying for the visa up to 30 days in advance, and EF will email you with the hotel information that you need, as well as your contact for the trip. There's a couple of different ways you can do the visa. The Indian government website, you can do it through their website, or you can do it through like a visa company. There's one called Sherpa. It's more expensive than if you do it straight through the government, just because there's someone doing that for you and you're paying for the service. I ended up doing it through Sherpa for just a single entry 30-day visa, but I felt like it was less confusing than the Indian government's website. But whatever floats your boat, do it as long as you get your visa, whatever, it's fine. You do need to bring 2 physical copies of your visa with you to the airport. I was unable to check in on my phone. For my flights, I had to go to the actual check-in counter, and they looked through my visa and made sure everything was in order. So day 1, overnight flight. All you're doing is flying. Day 2 says arrive in Delhi. I didn't arrive in Delhi on day 2. I did not technically arrive in Delhi until day 3, again at 3 a.m. But either way, if your flight gets in on day 2, it is going to be very late, most likely. And you will have a representative at the airport who will take you from the airport to the hotel. And then you're just going to bed. There's no EF activities on day 2. Day 3 is sightseeing tour of Delhi, plus a tomb that I am not going to pronounce because I'm going to butcher it. I'm going to butcher their name. And then your welcome dinner. So day 3, I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it and say that tomb we actually did not do on day 3. Our tour director was very, open and honest with us and did shared decision making. And he said, hey, it would be better if we did this tomorrow morning when there are no crowds. If we do it right now, according to the itinerary, when it was scheduled, it would be super, super crowded. And we said, we trust you, do what's best. So we did not do the tomb on day 3. Anyways, day 3, I, again, got to my room at 3:40 in the morning, and we had our welcome meeting, kind of going over expectations and what to expect on the trip. I was at like 8:30. So I didn't get a lot of sleep that little brief period of time in between those events, but that is okay. The first thing on this day is you are going on a tour of the city, including a stop at one of the mosques, and it's beautiful. It really is. It's a beautiful mosque. You have to, when you go in, you have to take off your shoes. So you either go barefoot or you can wear socks. And then for all of the women They gave us a robe. Like, I had short sleeves on and I still wore one. So I had read about this, I think, beforehand, that you have to go barefoot. So I got some cheap socks off of Amazon, and after the end of that day, I just threw them away because they were gnarly after that. And then you are passing by some buildings and doing a rickshaw ride through Old Delhi. And this is, I don't know how we didn't get it in a wreck, but we didn't. So it is just a bunch of rickshaws lined up for us, and you go on just a ride through the city, and it's a lot of honking and people everywhere, and it's crazy. And we even saw some monkeys just crawling along some roofs. So no idea what you'll see. Our tour director had our rickshaw drivers stop at a spice market, and it was so crowded, we didn't actually get to like shop or anything. He was just showing it to us. And this was probably my least favorite part of the trip, simply because we had these two teenage boys that kept walking back and forth by our group and touching the bottoms of the females on our trip, including my own. And that was just, it was not cool. They were young teenagers, but they should have known better. Now it's kind of funny, but in the moment we were all really ticked about it, and our tour director really kind of let them have it. So he definitely took up for us, but I probably would not go back to the spice market. Maybe you'll have a better experience than I did, but that's just being completely honest with you. And then find your inner zen with a visit to a Buddhist meditation center. This is saying you may participate as much or as little as you like during the traditional prayer ceremony. I don't remember it being a prayer ceremony. Now, I could be wrong. I was very jet lagged and sleep deprived. But we got there, and there was a teacher. He had like a PowerPoint on a TV and kind of went through some meditation and then talked to us about Buddhism. But I don't remember a prayer ceremony unless the meditation was supposed to count as that. We all struggled with this real hard. We were definitely on the struggle bus. Everyone was exhausted. Everyone was jet lagged. And it was very hard to focus on the teacher. And like, he definitely knew his stuff. So no, I mean, I felt bad because I was definitely zoning out. But it was just not an opportune time for a lecture after 25 hours of traveling and like minimal sleep. And then that night, like I said, we skipped the tomb, went to our welcome dinner. This was my 4th trip with EF Ultimate Break. This was my favorite welcome dinner. There was like appetizers for the table, like spring rolls and different things. And then the actual meal was served like family style. So just different dishes on the table. It was delicious. Everything was very delicious. It comes with one drink, so wine, beer, soda, water, and by far my favorite welcome dinner. Day 4, so that morning we went back. Well, we didn't go back, but that morning we went to the tomb, and our tour director did not lead us in the wrong, like at all. He led us perfect because there was no one there when we got to the tomb. The place was seriously, it was like empty. It was just us, a few other people. It was beautiful, and I'm really glad he advised doing it that morning instead of the day before, because once we were actually leaving, there was a ton of different school groups lining up to go in, and I could see like it was about to get packed. So props to him for knowing the best time to do things, and he really and truly wanted us to have the best experience in his country. So I really am thankful for that. So we did the tomb, and then we had a long bus ride to Agra. So our bus ride to Agra, we did have multiple stops for like bathroom breaks, and then we also stopped at like a rest stop that had a couple of different food choices. They weren't like I guess you could call them restaurants. And so we were able to get lunch there, and we finally got to our hotel about 2 p.m. And then we were able to freshen up for a little bit. We had about a 30-minute break between the time we got to the hotel and into our rooms before we left for the Taj. And this really probably was why I came on this trip. I'm trying to hit all 7 of the 7 wonders. So we had a little bit of a break, got on the bus, went to the Taj, and once we got there, we took a golf cart from like the entrance to the actual like security entrance. I don't know how to describe it. It would have been a long walk, so we took golf carts. And if you can, I would not bring a bag into the Taj. I opted to bring like a fanny pack that I was using as a crossbody, and some people with similar bags of like similar size didn't have to have them screened. They did want my bag, and the screening process is crazy. Not because it's difficult or anything, it's just chaotic. So the bag goes through like the scanner, but it takes 5 minutes for me to get through the x-ray whatever for my personal scanning. And so I really thought someone was just going to take my bag. And it goes through, I don't even know if it goes through anything. It gets to the table of the people that are checking the bags, and you like point to your bag and they look through it, but it was a mess, and I regret taking it. The Taj itself is beautiful. I will say one of the things our tour director told us before going in is that a lot of the people that were going to the Taj that are native to India have not necessarily seen Americans. I'm not saying everybody, but he told us a good portion had not. And to kind of expect stares and for people to want to take photos with you or just take photos of you. His advice was just to say no, because if you said yes to somebody, you're going to have like a whole line forming. And he was not wrong. We walk in, get our first glimpses of the Taj. Obviously, our breath is taken away. It is absolutely beautiful. And we go off to the side for a little meeting and information before, we're let loose. And we had so many people just videoing us and taking photos of us just talking to our tour director. So that was kind of a sign of what to come, or what was to come. And we go up. Let me back up. He hired a photographer to take our pictures. And I really wish they were digital. They were prints. I think they were 8x10 prints, maybe not, but they were prints. 5x7. They were 5x7 prints. And my photos were all super overexposed, and I felt really bad because they brought them to the hotel, and I told our tour director, I was like, I don't want any of them because I looked like a ghost. It was not. So just be prepared. They're going to take photos if they arrange it for you, and you are expected to pay for those photos. So anyways, you can obviously take your own photos, but they did take a group photo for us, and we did get the digital copy of that, and that was nice. Back to what I was saying. You can go and explore the Taj. You can go inside. Our tickets included going inside of the Taj. You can't take photos or anything inside, but everything, it really is beautiful. And we had a ton of people trying to take pictures with us. I had one lady essentially sitting on my lap on the bench. She wanted to take a photo with us. So yeah, other than that, it was great. And I will say the other thing for females, kind of what I was touching on with the spice market, not necessarily teenage boys touching you, but you will get a lot of like glances from some of the men, and they'll kind of stare at you, and that's just, I never felt uncomfortable. It was just not my favorite feeling in the world, but again, I never felt uncomfortable or unsafe. So we had probably 2 hours at the Taj, and then once we were done, we went to a home-hosted dinner, and this was really cool. The family was a mother and her daughter. It was an adult woman and her mother. And they taught us how to make a type of curry and then how to roll out a type of bread, and they let us try like rolling the bread, and if you did it correctly it would puff up in the oil like immediately, and that was really neat to do. They were really nice. The food was delicious. Again, it was kind of family style. Like after the demonstration, there's a little table set up, and I guess it was a buffet, a table set up, and you get what you want. Again, that also included a drink, one drink of your choice. They did have beer and wine and sodas. The next morning, so day 5, there is a morning yoga lesson. And this was in the garden area outside of our hotel. And it started off with a dead lizard where we were trying to lay our mats. I think that was just a sign. I personally am not a fan of yoga, but I wanted to try it, and it was on my bucket list to do while I was in India. So our tour director had to remove the dead lizard so we could be closer to our teacher. And I felt like we were doing more like stretching and warm-ups than actual yoga. He taught us maybe 3 poses max. But I could have just had the wrong impression, and he was doing great. But I'm glad I did it. It was neat. But anyways, so we did yoga, and then we got breakfast after yoga, and then we traveled to Ranthambore on a train. On our way to Ranthambore, on our way to the train station to go to Ranthambore, we did stop at this marble factory where they do the detailing in different pieces of marble, and it was neat. They showed us how they still use the same tools and everything of the people that did the Taj, so the people that did the inlaying at the Taj Mahal hundreds and hundreds of years later, and that was really neat. They show us kind of like a general idea of what they have, and then like a presentation, and then they let us loose to go look at everything. And it was neat. There's a lot of stuff to see, and the detail, it was beautiful. But there were so many salesmen that were like at your side the whole time and just really kind of pressuring you to get something, or wouldn't, take no for the first answer. I did end up getting a picture frame there that it really is beautiful, but the place is expensive. You could easily spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars there. So that's just something to know. That's kind of something extra. It's not necessarily listed, I don't think, in the itinerary, but you do stop at a marble factory. And then after that, we had lunch. We went to a McDonald's, and that was fun. I tried their veggie crunchy burger. I don't know. I enjoyed it. And then you get on the train. And this train experience was also something else. So you get to the train station. You have to drive a little bit to get to the train station. So again, you get your normal like bathroom stops. And we got lunch. We went to like a McDonald's for lunch this day before going to the train. There's no security at the train station. And our tickets were little slips of paper with our name and seat numbers handwritten in pen. And when the train actually got to the platform, you have 2 minutes from the time it stops to the time it goes again. So like you have to be on that train like real fast. I did not use the bathroom on the train, but I heard rumors that it was literally a hole in the floor. So it's not that long of a train ride. It's about 2 hours or so, maybe a little bit more, but maybe just try to avoid using the bathroom if you can. That night what are we doing? Okay. So they pick you up at the train station in like safari vehicles, and it's, I don't know, maybe a 20-minute drive or so from the train station to the hotel. It might have been longer, but they're open air safari vehicles, so you can see everything, and it's really neat. And by the time we get to the hotel, like it's off the beaten path because it's in the national park. You're looking for tigers. So we ate dinner that night at the hotel. It was included. This was buffet. So there's a bunch of different options, and then again, one drink: wine, beer, soda. And this was really neat. The hotel, I guess, owner or manager arranged for us to have a dancer and like a few musicians there playing some authentic music. So that was really, it was a fun, like, it was a nice atmosphere. It was really fun to experience, and it was really nice. The next morning, day 6, you are going on a game drive in Ranthambore National Park. You have to get up early, wear layers. It's cold, or at least it was cold when we went. They did have blankets for us, but the drive from the hotel to the entrance to the park was miserable. It was dark because it was so early, and it was cold, and it was windy. It was not my favorite, but it got better when the sun started coming out and when we were in the actual park, like, looking for tigers. Unfortunately, we did not see any, which is a big bummer, but we did find a few tracks of a female tiger. We were in zone 6. There's 10 zones that are allocated randomly, so you don't get to pick what zone you go to. And that's just what we got, and unfortunately that's part of, safaris. They are wild, and if you want a guarantee to see a tiger, you have to go to the zoo. After the safari, we went back to the hotel. We got breakfast and departed that hotel around 12 p.m. to go to our next city, which was Jaipur. We did not get there until about 6 p.m., but it was not a straight 6 hours on the bus. So we did stop several times for bathroom, to get some food. We also stopped at a gemstone workshop. Again, it was similar to the marble. There was a demonstration, and then you're kind of let free in a showroom with the jewelry in it, and you get to look at the pieces. You could buy something if you want. The salesmen were not as pushy at this place as they were at the marble. They didn't necessarily follow you around because they were behind counters. So there's that. This day also says that you are going to the Bollywood movie to see that. Again, this was a change our tour director made for us. We did not do this on day 6. We ended up doing it on day 7. There is an included dinner this night. It is at the hotel. It was a buffet. It was really good. Again, I keep reiterating it. One drink is included: beer, wine, soda, water. Day 7, you have another early morning yoga session. This was inside the hotel with towels instead of yoga mats, so it didn't feel as real. And the yoga instructor that our tour director had really hyped up, said that he was great, unfortunately could not come. His wife came, and I feel like she knew her stuff, but I was really looking forward to the other guy because he said he was really funny. Anyways, so you have yoga, and then you go to breakfast, and then you head out for the day. Today we did a textile kind of tour. We went to Textile Factory, and you got to see how they hand stamp different fabrics, how they sew together different things, and then they also had knot tying for rugs, knotted rugs. So we got to see how they make all of those things, and then again, you probably guessed it, another, kind of showroom showing you rugs. And they have different styles and sizes and different materials. And I fell in love with this rug, and I really wanted it. It was absolutely beautiful. And it was $6,000. It didn't come home with me, unfortunately, but I do still have a picture of it so I can see it when I'm sad. So we did that. We got lunch, and then we went to the Bollywood movie on this day. And we stayed for probably 45 minutes to an hour. This was the first day this movie was out for people to view. And then, different from our movie theaters, it was this massive movie theater with only one screen. So they had concession stuff in the main lobby with an intermission. And then you go in, you can watch the movie. There's no subtitles, so we have no idea what they're saying, but it was very intriguing. We had a lot of questions for our tour director when we got out, so I really enjoyed it. And I would honestly like to watch the movie with subtitles one day. And then we went to a local bazaar, or like a market. And this ended up being, those markets where it's a lot of, I love so-and-so city, or wherever you are. And a lot of like very touristy souvenirs and things. And that was just not this market. It was more textiles. It was a lot of fabrics and shoes. Were almost every stall fabrics or shoes. I did find a mini Taj Mahal and a magnet, but it was so hard to find like an India magnet, and I didn't think it was going to be that hard. And then that night we had an included dinner. Again, this was a home hosted dinner with a family. Their home was beautiful. They gave us a tour. Our tables were set up outside. They had a little bar area, which was like a table with drinks and some snacks and things. And then they showed us like in the kitchen on how they make a few things. Not as detailed as the other home hosted dinner, where they went through like step by step of how they were making it. But they were just showing us like some of the things they use. And it was really nice. And it was a nice like last dinner. This is considered your farewell dinner. That is important. Day 7, that is your farewell dinner. So on day 8, dinner is not included. And we're going to hit that in a second. But I want to go ahead and touch that. That is important. That night, our tour director arranged for us to have a astrologist come, and a henna artist come. And you could do one or both or neither. They were extra, so just whatever you wanted to do. And the henna artist was 300 rupees for one hand. It was I think a mom and a daughter, so there was 2 artists working on us. They were so fast. It took like less than 3 minutes. And then the astrologist was, I think, 2,000 rupees, and it takes about a 15-minute session. You have to send over certain information and things. I didn't end up doing it, but I think everyone that did really enjoyed it. And so that's kind of an extra thing just for that night. Day 8 is your last, I guess, day in India because you're leaving this night. You wake up. It's kind of an early start, not like super early, but you are on the road, leaving from Jaipur back to Delhi. We get to make a few stops along the way to see different things, including going to the Amber Fort. This was really cool. You take a Jeep up to the Amber Fort, and again, it's just the architecture really is beautiful. So we go up, we get in, and the first thing we do is we went over and fed some elephants some bananas. And this was not sanctioned by EF. This is just something extra we did. So we fed them some bananas, and you feed the banana, and then you get out like 100 rupees and you give it to the elephant, and he uses his trunk and gives it to his owner. So you can participate if you want or not. That's up to you. And then we toured the Amber Fort, and then we, continued on our drive to Delhi. So we get to Delhi early-ish, not like super early. It was probably close to 5 or 6 p.m. But I'm saying this, and it's important, like I said, there's no included dinner on this day. So you are responsible for your own meal. There is a restaurant in the hotel that you can get dinner at, but you will be paying for it. The other really, really important thing to note is that there is not technically a hotel night included here. This is a day room. So we had our rooms from when we got there until about 10:30 p.m. and that's when we had to check out. And then by that time, everyone that had booked their flights through EF was making their way to the airport with the included transportation. So if you book your own flights and you are leaving the next morning, book a hotel room. Do not wait until the last minute. Don't let it catch you by surprise. You need to have a room arranged. Our tour director was able to help get those people to extend their rooms, but that seems really stressful for me to maybe possibly have a room, but maybe not. But you do you, whatever you're comfortable with, and then you'll head home from the airport. Some tips, tricks, and things I kind of wanted to relay to you, things that I wish I had known or I did know, and just things you need to know. Bring toilet paper. A mini travel roll is great, or you can just get some out at the hotel when you get to the hotels and just bring some with you. Not every bathroom will have toilet paper. A lot of our stops on the long bus rides, we would stop at hotels, like nice hotels, and use their bathrooms, and they would have toilet paper, but not everywhere did, so just be prepared for that. Cash-wise, you cannot get cash ahead of time. I think it's a closed currency country, so you can't get it converted while you're in the U.S. I brought more than I needed to. I brought like 400 USD, but I only ended up getting 200 converted. And that was my big question going into the trip was, I'm landing, at 3 a.m. Is there going to be somewhere that I can get cash converted at the airport? And our tour director said, don't worry about it. We'll have someone come on the bus and change, cash over for everybody during the sightseeing tour. So that is on day 3, your sightseeing tour of Delhi. We had a man come on our bus and convert cash for us. So don't worry about that if you're also getting in really late and you don't know how to get money. Let me take that back. Not every place will take credit cards, so make sure that you get cash. Even some of the McDonald's that should take credit cards are like, do you have cash? Sometimes the machine readers, even though they had them, just would not work. So make sure you get some cash. The other important thing to note is tipping the tour directors. Well, the other important thing to note is tipping your tour director and your bus driver plus the co-pilot. So I didn't know we were going to have a co-pilot going into the trip. So you've got your bus driver, and this man is a hero for getting us through this trip without getting in a wreck. And a little co-pilot that sits up front with him. And our co-pilot would distribute cold water bottles to us throughout the trip and help our bus driver get into and out of different places, parking and through traffic and things. So both of them were saints in keeping us safe. So at the end of the trip, you get a text on the app, and it gives you a recommendation of what you should tip, like your tour director and the bus driver. Those recommendations are really low, and I don't recommend following them. Not because I want you to spend more money, but because these men, in our case, but these people that run our tours and keep us safe on the bus, they do so much for us that they deserve more than the recommendation. So the tour director recommendation is $4 to $6 per day that you're on tour. I would shoot for 8 to 10. Honestly, if you can do 10 per day that you're on tour, that's not including your travel days getting there. So for this trip, it wouldn't be day 1 and day 2. It would be days 3 through 9. Just because $4 a day is not much for these people that are leaving their families. And I know this is their job and they're getting paid, but they take good care of you. For our bus driver, I ended up doing, I want to say $4 a day. And then for the co-pilot, our tour director recommended doing half of what we were doing for the bus driver. So if you did $4 to the bus driver per day, $2 for the co-pilot per day. Again, whatever you're comfortable with and how, you felt like they did. But please don't rip them off purposefully because they really do a great job for us. I kind of already covered the water, but I'll cover it again. Our co-pilot brought ample amounts of bottled water to us on the bus every day. Use the bottled water for brushing your teeth. All of the hotels had a bottled water in there that you can use and drink and keep you hydrated, but that's to brush your teeth and things. Don't use the sink water. And then we had a couple people get sick with GI illnesses while we were there. I don't know if it was just not adjusting to the food or if they ate something maybe they shouldn't have. I didn't have any issues personally, but I brought a whole slew of different GI meds with me. So just be prepared. It is different than the U.S. food, so you don't want to have a miserable time. Just pack anything you need medication-wise. Pack things you don't even know if you need just in case, because it's better to be more prepared than not. I really hope this deep dive into the itinerary and, my experience on this trip is helpful for you in planning this trip or maybe considering if it's right for you. I truly did enjoy the trip. It's kind of an off the beaten path destination and it takes a long time to get there and to get home, but I really felt like it was well worth it. So if you have any questions I did not answer, I would love to answer them for you. Please just leave them in the comments below. I would be happy to chat with you about anything about this trip or EF in general. Thank you for watching. I hope you're excited about your trip, and I'll see you next time.
If you're ready to book your first trip with EF Ultimate Break, you can book using the link in the video description to save $100 off your trip. The link will automatically apply the promo code. Let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have happy travels.